Hello everyone, in this video I'm presenting the task 4.3, the Backplane API Gateway. So first, let's start with the core concepts. The Backplane API Gateway is the building block in charge of offering to all participants and marketplaces access to the Backplane system. So the goal of the Backplane API is therefore twofold. On one hand, it serves an integrated API endpoint for all i3 market services, whereas on the other hand it provides a secure mechanism for preventing unauthorized accesses. So in the authorization part, clients are expected to provide these tokens in the header whenever they query a secured endpoint with the provided strategy. In one side we have the access token, which contains the subject ID together with the scope. Then we have the ID token, which contains information about the user itself, including the verifiable credentials associated with the corresponding claims according to the user profile. The following figure illustrates the authorization flow, where the Backplane API expects the access token and the ID token. Then it validates the signature of the tokens using the JW key set from the IDC provider, checks that the user has enough privileges validating the tokens and verifying the claims, and then if everything goes well, it redirects the query to the subsystem and then relays back the response from the final subsystem. So services owners just need to provide the OpenAPI specification JSON file describing all the exposed endpoints together with the security scheme JWT to use the OIDS strategy described before, and then set the JWT security tag with the required claims for each endpoint they want to secure. In order to integrate the OpenAPI specification files, we provide an executable called Service Integration Manager. So given a new service OS definition, the Integration Manager generates the required classes and resources using a third-party library, which is called Loopback CLI. Then it modifies all these classes and integrate them into the backplane, building the final backplane Docker image, which then can be deployed directly into the i3 market repository, ending up with the final version of the Backplane API ready to be deployed. About the implementation, the Backplane API is written in TypeScript, which is then powered by Node.js, and we are using the Loopback framework, which is a highly extensive Node.js and TypeScript framework for building APIs and microservices in an easy manner. And then for the Service Integration Manager, we are using Dart as programming language. Please refer to the deliverable D4.6 and the developer portal for more information regarding the Backplane API. Now let's jump to the demo part. Here you can see the Backplane without any integrated service. As you can see, the controls folder is empty and it only contains the Backplane core code. So there are no integrated services. In order to start the Backplane API, these are the required environment variables, as you can see here. On one side we have the OIDC related variables, which belongs to the authorization strategy described before in the presentation, and then we have the Backplane related variables where we set the port and the public URI where the Backplane is being deployed. So now we will start the Backplane and we will see how it looks like. You can see here. Then we start the Backplane and then we wait until the command finishes. So now we can open a browser and query the URL that appears here. And here you can see that there is no service integrated. We only have the auth controller, which it's used to run the authentication flow exposed by the entity service provider. And then we also have the ping controller, which is just a controller for testing purposes and check that the Backplane is running correctly. Now we can go to the OAS definition repository. Here you can see that there is one file for each services where it defines the location of the service along with all the paths. So if we go, for example, to the notification manager OS, you can see that in the server side we are describing the location of the final service, and then we are defining all the paths using the Open API specification standard. So to include all these services into the Backplane, we are using the Service Integration Manager. This Service Integration Manager, as I said before, is a Dart program, and now I will integrate all the service definitions into my Backplane instance. You just start the program, and as we can see, it identifies all the services, and it starts to detect all the paths and creates all the classes and resources associated to these controllers and services. You can see we go to the Backplane, we will see that controllers starts to appear into the Backplane code. You can see the auditable account in the controllers generated. Then we'll wait until it finishes the Service Integration Manager. Then the service integration finished correctly, so now we can restart the Backplane API in order to see all the new integrated services. So now we can see that the Backplane start correctly, so we can go to the browser and refresh the page. So here we can see that there are more controllers into the Swagger definition. So for example, you can go to the notification manager, then we can check the health endpoint, and we execute this get function, and as we can see, we have a response from the i3 Market notification manager. So the Backplane is querying the notification manager and sending back the response of this service. Notice the Backplane API also includes a claim-based authorization flow using the i3 Market identity providers, so we just need to request the ID token and access token. So we are querying the localhost auth OpenID login endpoint. This starts the authorization flow and then sends back the ID token and the access token. So we can copy the ID token until here, and this include here the ID token, and then we can copy the access token. So now we can query authenticated endpoints. In this case, my identity has the consumer claim, so I can query the consumer endpoint. As you can see, it throws a hello consumer and my identity with the scope consumer. But then, if I try to run the hello provider endpoint, which is only allowed to be queried by providers, it throws an access denied error, meaning that we cannot access to this endpoint because the claim is not the correct one.